Man. All right.
Magic Man. All right, let's do this.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, we have the release month for Mandalorian Season 2. Woo!
Whoa, it's not this month. Don't be confused with the wording.
Or
we
next
just
month.
know the month.
Yeah, we know it. We know. We'll let you know when it is. DC Comics is breaking the mold with their distribution model and company.
Yes, and this is where Chris will later explain to me what that means.
Yes, I gotta do some learning here for Mike. Batwoman will not be recast.
Ooh, this is very interesting.
And more.
And Chris is upright, but in a chair right now. You've been bending over all day, haven't you, Chris? Not to be crass, but you've been bending over.
I feel like I've been bent over. I'll tell you that right now. So this, as people may know, I think I talked a little bit last week, I am redoing my flooring. And we were going to lay the strips solid over the laminate in the kitchen, right? Because, laminate's thin, it doesn't take up any space. Well, we started looking, the laminate was actually on a separate wood piece, which was then above the baseboards. So, which makes I get it, you can laminate without having to pull the laminate up, but that baseboard is under the cabinets. So to tear this up, we had to figure out how to get it, like the sections up from around everything, and then around the cabinets. So, that was all day yesterday, so I've just got a garage full of trash right now. Pieces of wood, nails, staples. Cleaned that up, and then today we started laying the actual flooring, Mike, and that's the son of a bitch. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, if I could be completely honest.
Yeah, I'm very positive that, Chris, you're going to be very happy once it's all done. You're going to have a great new looking floor. You're really going to appreciate it. It's going to increase the value of your home and actually just make you have a more valuable asset. But I love to see you. Torture yourself over this, because as a non-homeowner, this just makes me feel much better that I'm not currently doing any of this stuff. Of course, in the long run, you are in the better position, but seeing the pictures of you sending me like your a destroyed kitchen, trying to get it back into repair, it's just like, I'm gonna go rollerblade.
Yeah. I mean, that's the hardest part, as you also know and may have noticed last week. I got rid of my desktop computer. I'm using a laptop and 2 monitors while my new one gets sent to me later this month. So I'm like, I'm just gonna escape, go learn some stuff, watch some how to do this on my big computer. Oh wait, I don't have one. So my house is in entire disarray. I don't know what world I'm in. I don't know what day it is. I have like the biggest work convention that we put on for every year this week, while we're also moving into a new building. And let me tell you, I don't know if I'm coming or going, but thankfully every Sunday I can count on us being here with some bit of news and making it work out. Right.
Yeah, well, talking about home repair, it's not on the same level of you, Chris. But this morning, I put up a curved shower curtain rod. So if anybody out there has shower curtains, I know a lot of people have like sliding shower doors. But if you have a shower curtain and you're looking for a little bit more elbow room, put up a curved shower curtain. It gives you a little bit more room. Buy maybe a slightly heavier shower curtain, like the plastic one that protects the water from going out, and then maybe it won't attack you. That's like the one thing from Physics 101 I remember back in high school was like why the shower curtain attacks you. So if you don't want that attacking you, get a curved shower curtain. You'll be good to go. I installed that this morning. And then a new edition of the podcast here that will be stealth and silent. I finally got a new office chair that's on really fancy rollerblade-esque wheels. You can upgrade any office chair out there to rollerblade wheels. I highly recommend it. They move much smoother off of hardwood. They transition better from like tile to like carpeting to rugs. It's really great. And there's a whole new chair on top of the wheels also. And I was on a long search for chairs. And I know this might drive other people crazy, but I love getting into the weeds of basically everything. And man, there are so many weeds to pluck through when you're looking for office chairs, because there's like the matrix of options of chairs, Chris, is insane. Because not only do you have like, does the chair telescope? Does it tilt? What kind of armrest do it has? Did the armrest come off? What kind of fabric is it? All these different things like drives me crazy, but also I love. So ultimately, after buying a chair, not liking it, and returning it, I just found the exact same chair I have been sitting on for like 8 years, and I just re-bought it. So I was like, it's held up this long just fine. And I was actually pretty impressed because for a brief moment I had the old chair right next to the brand new chair, and after sitting on it for like so many years, I was surprised how much of it was just totally fine. I actually felt bad just like tossing it in the dumpster because I was like, a little bit of work into this could have been a fine chair.
You know how you get rid of that chair and ensure someone takes it, Mike? Put it on your bike rack.
Yeah, that's right. I'll lock it up and then somebody will come steal it.
Lock it on your bike rack, because as soon as you do, someone's going to come try to take it.
Hence why I am in rollerblades now and not a bike anymore, because the bike was stolen a while ago.
Yeah, I was there, I think. Wasn't that when I was visiting for San Diego we found it was taken?
I don't remember. It was around the same time. I got footage. Head on over to my Instagram. I documented catching the thief on camera. I don't know where the thief is now.
Well, this is the one I helped because you sent the footage to me because I had a Windows computer.
Oh, yeah. It's just like so weird. Old software is so bizarre because the building manager was just like, yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the computer where all the footage goes. I'm going to leave because it's in like this weird attached like garage next to the laundry room that's like hot as hell. And they're just like, I don't know what this software is, but here it is. And I got like, how do I click around? What is this? I got to use all of the knowledge I have of all of the software I've learned over so many years to figure out how this works. And then I finally like find the footage and hit the download button, get it onto a flash drive, and take it upstairs. And it's like not even a file. It's like an executable software that I had to send to you so you could download it onto your Windows PC. And then it's just
It was fun.
Crazy.
It was fun. Yeah, thankfully we had those resources to do that, because any other person would have just given up at that point. But
long story short, you will not be hearing my creaky chair anymore. Chris always let me know every week that he never heard the creak.
I didn't hear it.
If you ever heard the creak out there, it's gone for good.
Mike, I can't hear it over your outlandish theories and mental gymnastics you do. So no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm in a comfy chair now, and it's great. It moves, like I said, it's got these wheels that move everywhere, so it can very easily transition in front of my TV when I play video games.
Yes, exactly. Well, we'll talk about video games, but before we do, I want to give a shout out to a listener, Patrick. He was in my wedding. You remember Patrick, for giving us a shout out this week. He texted me personally and said, hey, good job doing all the news, even though there's no news pretty much out here. And I appreciate that. And
well, that's what happens. We talk about office chairs when we're in between the news, it sounds like.
And the only reason I bring that up is because he may be like, why did you say this? But his wife, they had their first child this week as well, last week. So congratulations to them. And hopefully, it seems everybody's doing all right. But his wife put it on Facebook today, or this weekend, so I figured it was good enough. It was time to tell people. So good luck with that.
Shout out to him, and shout out to Sean Bowman, our number one YouTube commenter, who's back from the grave. I don't know where he was, but now he's back in the comments.
He took a break. He had he was tired of us and went and did something else, and he had to save up that money to buy that release the Snyder Cut banner. No, I'm kidding. All right, back to video games. The PlayStation Days of Play sale is going on. It's like a 2-week kind of thing that they do every summer, and these deals are hot, Mike. These are half-off deals on most of these big games. I'm going to tell you what I bought.
Okay.
I bought Everybody's Golf VR, so it's golfing in VR.
All right.
Which it's been fun.
Hey, when you can't go outside during a pandemic, you gotta get your golf in somehow, I guess.
Oh yeah. It's very arcadey too, so it's not serious. I can't make those putts yet though. I bought it's not Fire Team Bravo. It's like something watch. It's a Call of Duty but VR kind of thing. So it's online multiplayer. And then lastly, what was the other game? I bought another VR game. I bought 3. It's called Blood and Truth. Have you ever seen the movie Snatch?
Like familiar, but I've never seen it.
Like a Guy Ritchie movie, but in VR. It's like that, but in VR mode. So there was a demo disc, a demo VR game where you play gangsters and you like breaking in like this jewel heist thing. This pretty much they took that demo and turned it into a full game, which was really cool.
Oh, cool.
So I bought those half off, but we cover superhero games. So the biggest one, Spider-Man Game of the Year, full game, all the DLC, $20 right now. If you want that,
that's a good deal. I mean, I think just the DLC alone was like $20.
It was. It's. I think it's like 12 or 13 for the DLC if you already have the game right now. So you can get that. Lego Marvel games, all of them are under $10. So those can last you hours of entertainment. Especially if you have family, your friends, kids. They're easily 2-player, split screen. Arkham Knight I think was $4 for the latest Batman Arkham game, the last one. And Injustice 2 was also under $10. So if you're looking to get your superhero games on.
I love that. I love the Injustice franchise because whenever I need to look up images for the podcast to Photoshop, Injustice is always a great place to find like character models that kind of look somewhat realistic. Like, if we last week when we were talking about like Darkseid, it's like, I need a good high resolution picture of Darkseid that's not from a comic book. Just go to the Injustice game. Somebody's already modeled it. So if you want to see those figures fighting in real life, Injustice 2.
Yeah, it's got a good story too. I enjoyed the first one, the second one. They even came out with like 5 volumes or 5 years, year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of like to fill in all the blanks. So it's a pretty good alternative universe if you're looking for something for that. But sadly, because of all the work I've been doing lately, Mike, I haven't got to watch anything long form. But last night I decided while I was resting from the work I did, recovering, to turn on Tron Legacy. And have you ever watched Tron Legacy?
I've seen it. I think I've seen it twice. I don't recall most of the watchings because it was a while ago, but I remember the movie visually looks great. Obviously, the soundtrack is amazing, but I think the story leaves you wanting a little bit.
Well, so what I noticed is after watching the Tron prop culture episode is what kind of really brought me into this. Was I remember watching the original Tron, and I asked my wife. She's like, "Oh, I remember Tron Legacy. I don't remember a lot about it." I'm like, "Okay. Well, have you ever seen the first one?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, this one makes absolutely no sense if you've not seen the first one." Because you've got a guy who's like an adrenaline junkie who's like sticking it to the man of his like dad's company, these rich people, and then he like gets sucked into this Tron world, and it looks beautiful. Like visually amazing movie, but like it makes no sense if you've not seen the first one at all. And I think what was really a missing thing here is the character Clue, which is essentially young Jeff Daniels. Not Jeff Daniels, Jeff Bridges. Who, if you watch the facial aging doesn't work so well. It's something about the mouth. It's always the upper lip.
They were unfortunately just a little before the time of making actors younger.
This was, I think, right after Captain America was young for his whole movie, so... the first one. But either way, I think it was a fun thing. I love the soundtrack. And I really noticed this time how much it borrows from The Matrix. Like, he actually goes into the digital world. You have Michael Sheen playing some crazy, I guess, club keeper dude, and all the agents, quote-unquote agents, look the same throughout the whole thing. It's quite the Matrix parallel here, which was interesting. With The Matrix, 4 coming out shortly? But I would love to see a Tron follow-up, a third Tron, to really close this series. But I had a good time with it, and I always remember soundtrack was banging. The soundtrack's always banging, so
very banging.
Put that on there. I think it might be on Disney Plus. Is where I watched it.
Oh yeah, I feel like it's got it. If it's not on Disney Plus, it's got to be due to some sort of like streaming rights contract that's yet to be expired.
But beautiful movie. I'd recommend it if you haven't seen it. But also watch the first Tron if you can. I know it's on Disney Plus. But the other stuff I watched, and we're going to talk about later. But Mike, always kick our week off with your Quarren Stream room.
Come on down to the Quarren Stream corner, and we'll kick it off with what Chris was just mentioning. I finally watched a couple episodes of Prop Culture, so I'm glad to see Tron Legacy up here because the first episode I watched was the Tron episode. I believe episode 1 is Mary Poppins, which I'm sure it's great. I'm sure that movie is full of a lot of amazing props. But I did not grow up watching Mary Poppins, so my wife is a little bit more connected to it than I am, so we might sit down and maybe watch that episode. But I watched the Tron episode, and that was really great, man. Yeah,
well, it's fun because the whole point of this, every episode, not nearly episodes, some of the episodes they actually do restoration of props, and this guy's kind of guiding that. I don't know if they're already pre-planned or what. But the sign for Flynn's was really cool to see at the end of that, and the director was just so cool for Tron, like that.
To go back to him to see how he's like working on a wooden lathe now, and he hates technology.
He absolutely hates technology. He's like, nah, I'm good, man. So that's fun. I'm glad you're catching. Did you see any other ones? You said a couple other ones?
Well, another thing that I was really surprised to see there. This was just total happenstance. It was just a few hours ago we watched these episodes, but last night we were looking for a new franchise to start watching because we had done the Infinity War Endgame rewatch, and obviously there's plenty of other Marvel movies we can go back on. And just before that, we watched all the Harry Potter movies. So we're like, what's another franchise we can watch? And my wife wife is a big fan of Johnny Depp, so we decided to watch the Pirates of the Caribbean. So last night we watched the very first movie, and I already told her, I was like, once we get about halfway through the second one, my attention span's gonna fall off because the movies decline in quality like so fast, unfortunately. But the first film is just so good. Everything about it's great. There's a lot of really awesome like storytelling moments that like filmmakers can learn from, because you learn everything that you need to know about all of the main characters in their very first scene. Much like Jack Sparrow, you know everything you need to know about him before he even says his first line, and his first line even like reinforces his character even more. So lots of really cool filmmaking tips and tricks you can take away from it. But I was so happy to see that Pirates of the Caribbean Curse of the Black Pearl was one of the Prop Culture episodes, and that one was really fun to watch.
So it was funny because I watched that, and then I went back, and this week I think it was on in the background was Curse of the Black Pearl. So we have both watched that this week to get that.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just such a good it's such a good movie. I just was remembering back to when the movie came out. I believe it was 2003, I think, when the film came out. And I was just thinking, back then there wasn't a whole lot of big movie franchises. You know, it wasn't the Hollywood's directive to make the franchise. You know, like Pirates of the Caribbean, I feel like was kind of riffing off maybe the success of The Mummy from previous years before it. Yeah. And I also thought it was pretty funny that the third Mummy movie came out 2008 when Iron Man came out. So it's almost kind of like letting that franchise die and starting this brand new franchise that would take over the world. So it was just crazy, like going back then and watching this movie that was intended to be a standalone film, and then you hear the news like maybe a few months or a year later that they're making another Pirates movie, and you're like, holy crap, they're making another one of these. So
and they made two back to back. They did the Matrix on this.
It was just a different time back then, even though it seems somewhat recent. So, man, Prop Culture, I would totally recommend it.
Good.
I think I liked the really weird thing about these Disney documentaries, these Disney Plus documentaries, is you have unlimited access. It is so cool every time they go to the Disney archives and they reunite like these artists with like these old matte paintings that they did that they haven't seen in 30 years, or they go to the office of like this of these artists that did concept art and they still have all the original paper, and it's just so crazy. But then also on the other hand, since it's a Disney controlled documentary, you never really get any of the kind of drama that sometimes you're looking for in a documentary. But luckily, since it's just about props, you know, there's usually not a whole lot of drama around props. So yeah, it's an interesting kind of angle when you're watching a Disney documentary.
Well, I don't know if it's a documentary. I think it's more like a historical show. Like this
I mean that's a good way to put it too.
I think to me it feels more like a historical show, because I know you didn't watch the first one, the Mary Poppins, and I'm not a big fan of it either. Like it's not my go-to, but like you learn. I mean, just spoiler alert, but like there's a piano in Walt Disney's office where he wrote would play the music for that movie as they were working on it, and only one person gets to play that piano ever now since he died.
Oh wow!
And you get to find out who that is and what they do with it. So it's really cool. Some of the history of Disney that you get in there as well.
Yeah, I think next up on the list, I definitely want to watch the Nightmare Before Christmas one, because that's got to be props head to toe. The entire movie is a moving prop, so very looking forward to that one. And it's been so long since I've seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I noticed that's an episode, so I was like, well, that's just going to drive me right back to watching Honey, I Shrunk the Kids first. So yeah, very easy recommend. You recommend it to me, so now it'll be a double recommend. Go watch Prop Culture on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and I've been interspersing that in the Mandalorian documentary throughout the week, just to.
Oh yeah, I've been catching up on that too. Man, a lot of great stuff.
But anyway, what have you been watching that I've not been watching?
Yes, next up on the list is we just binge this from start to finish. They have 19 episodes out right now. The 20th episode, or the last episode of the second season, will be dropping this week on Hulu, and it's What We Do in the Shadows. This one is a super easy recommend. Everybody out there loves the show. I'm surprised it took us this long to watch it. We watched the pilot originally, I think maybe about a year ago, and then, just other things started happening. We never got around to watching it again, but it's so fun. It's a fun world to be in, trying to see where they want to take like these vampires, what things they want to play with, what real world scenarios do they want to throw these old world characters into. They're familiar by the name of Guillermo is my favorite character, because he's just so earnest. He just very much wants to be a vampire, and it's just a funny relationship he has with the vampires in the house. But I just thought it seems obvious. I thought everybody knew this, but What We Do in the Shadows is based off of a film that Taika Waititi directed in New Zealand. And I was surprised that people didn't know that, because we were talking to a friend recently who was also a big fan of the show and had no idea the original movie existed.
That's what I always ask. Everyone's like, "Oh, have you seen the show?" I'm like, "No." Have you seen the movie? Like, what movie? I'm like,
yeah,
the whole thing started with the movie. That's where this came from.
Yeah, Chris, have you watched the show?
I've not got to watch the show yet. No, but okay. Again, I've seen the movie, so it's one of those kind of things.
Well, there you go. You will be rewarded, just like me and my wife were, where I believe it's the second season. I've kind of lost the thread since I've watched them all in a row now, but you do get to see some familiar faces return from the movie, which is really, really great. So you will be rewarded for doing your homework on What We Do in the Shadows. So this is one of the benefits of a giant conglomerate buying another giant conglomerate, that we get FX shows airing the next day very seamlessly on Hulu. So go check out What We Do in the Shadows on Hulu right now. And this is the next show we've been watching for a little bit now, since we're in a quarantine, we're stuck at home. You kind of need a show that you can kind of just mainline, throw on in the background, kind of half pay attention to, but also still enjoy. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can stream this. It's The Middle. It's a family sitcom it's already gone its course. I think it went 9 seasons in all, so there's a whole lot to watch. But I think me and Chris would connect with it maybe more than most, because it's set in Indiana.
Yeah. This is, I think it was on. I remember it was on air before the Goldbergs, when the Goldbergs first came off. So like you can watch the Goldbergs, The Middle. Was it Modern Family? I think it's on that block of a family comedy, because it's about a family. There's 3 kids. I remember the girl with the braces always comes to mind when I think of the show.
Yes, it follows the Heck family. The father is the illustrious janitor from Scrubs. I can't remember his name, but I love that guy.
Rest in peace. He's passed recently.
Oh no, the janitor from Scrubs.
Was it not the janitor? I thought
not the lawyer. You're thinking the lawyer.
Oh,
from
I don't know. I didn't
Scrubs.
watch Scrubs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the janitor from Scrubs, very much, I believe, still alive. Patricia Heaton, who played the wife on Everybody Loves Raymond, and then the kids. I don't know who the heck the kids are. They're all new actors. But it's a really nice, just fun family show. It's pretty funny. It's pretty. I would say it's fairly consistent. So I don't think I've really witnessed any up or down seasons yet. Kind of it being on in the background. So if you just need something to watch, go check out The Middle. I believe it's actually not even on Amazon Prime. Amazon owns IMDb, and I think technically The Middle is on IMDb streaming, which is part of Amazon. So you can just watch it through Prime. There's like commercials, because you can't get it without commercials, which is weird. But there's only like 2 commercials, so it's really short. It's a sign that I'll recommend a show even if you have to watch a couple commercials to sit through it. So.
I will tell you right now, it's on Prime Video, whatever that means. 1 season is. IMDb TV has 9 seasons. So
yeah, so you will have to sit through maybe a couple car commercials here or there.
Mike is so upset by this,
but it's a good show. It's nice, it's pleasant, and I'll also kind of like to see the Indiana stuff that they put in there. They do their research, because like growing up in Indiana, every TV show and movie you ever watched growing up called it the DMV. In Indiana, it's called the BMV. And
I do that.
What's with the difference?
I do that all the time. Like, going to the BMV, like, what are you talking about? I'm like,
the Bureau of Motor Vehicles.
Yeah,
we don't have a department in Indiana. It's a bureau.
Yeah. They're like, you mean the DMV? I'm like, I don't care what it is. I'm going to get my license.
Yeah, I had to get used to it when I moved out here to the West Coast. It's all D's out here, no B's.
It's probably the same in Kentucky. I just don't care enough to deal with it. But the last show is what everybody's watching. I've heard about this about 10 times this weekend.
Yes, I don't know exactly what you've been hearing, but it wasn't very well received in our household, and that is Space Force, which I believe landed on Netflix maybe about 2 weeks ago. I think I'm about a week late to the party here, but we decided to check it out. Space Force, which is from Greg Daniels and Steve Carell, so they're both credited as show creators, but you'll know Greg Daniels from previous successes like The Office, and he did many other successful sitcoms, and he's also recently put out an original show on Amazon Prime called Upload that he has sole creatorship over. There's no co-partnership there. So the show Upload, I've seen a lot of people have a lot of positive receptions to on Amazon Prime. It's getting very good Rotten Tomato reviews. People really like the show. But unfortunately, he's 0 for 2 in 2020 in our household, because we watched the pilot for Upload and we also watched the pilot for Space Force, and you could hear a pin drop in the apartment. We did not laugh at all. And it's just, I don't know what it is. I've seen some people out there have enjoyed parts of it. I think Space Force is being received a little bit more poorly than Upload has been. But I don't know what's going on with Greg Daniels. I don't know what's going on out there. But I did not like any of these shows. I
have only heard good things about Space Force. You're the first person who said anything bad.
Ooh, man, you should. There's some hot takes out there for sure if you go check out the ratings. I mean, obviously critics are going to critique, and you can take or leave their reviews if you want. But the critics are not enjoying Space Force very much. I didn't really like the pilot that much at all. No laughs. There's a lot of talent in it, but I mean, just like, why am I going to watch a comedy if the jokes aren't hitting? So I don't really know what to do in the age of streaming when there's so much competition, and I can just easily move on to something else. Because at the same time, I believe Greg Daniels also worked on Parks and Rec. I'm sure somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but Parks and Rec also has a very rough start, and I would tell people to just hold on for a few episodes and then it gets really good. So I feel like I'm being slightly a hypocrite here, telling people to hold on for Parks and Rec, but who knows if Space Force gets better. But some people out there who put more time into it also said that, it doesn't really change that much. So that's my stream corner there. 3 hits and 1 miss for me. So that's where I'm at right now in the pandemic, Chris.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'd rather be doing that than what I'm doing. I'm just sore and miserable, and it's probably going to carry over through this because I'm beat, my friend. I am beat. So let's get into this.
I will carry you, my friend.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to need it. So some other content people are looking forward to is The Last of Us, and this is going to be a double whammy here, Mike. First and foremost, they are making a show on HBO, supposedly,
yes.
when production starts again. And they've got Johan Renck, who worked on Chernobyl, to direct the pilot. So an HBO alum to work on an HBO show here.
Yeah, which makes a whole lot of sense because the showrunner for The Last of Us is going to be Craig Mazin, who was the showrunner for Chernobyl. So makes a lot of sense that he's reaching out to his friends and other people that he's worked with to work on the show. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to take a moment to say I was actually really shocked that Craig Mazin is also a creative or / consulting producer on the show I recommended last week, which was Mythic Quest. And towards the end of the season, he actually has a role in the show. He has a character that he plays, goes by the name of Lou, and he even shows up in the special quarantine 10th episode that they generated. So this is really the year for Craig Mazin for sure. And I was having some shower thoughts earlier today thinking about this, and this has got to be the best chance that a video game franchise has ever had to really break through the normal wall and hit consumers that never play video games before. Because obviously it's a good bet to bet on the crew that made Chernobyl, because if it wasn't Fleabag at the Emmys last year, Chernobyl won every other award. It was basically going back and forth between Fleabag and Chernobyl for all the awards at the Emmys. So if you're going to bet on a team of people to produce a drama, it's probably going to be the people that made Chernobyl. On top of that, Chernobyl is technically kind of an adaptation. It's an adaptation of history. So you're working off things that have already happened, a story that has kind of already been created, and finding a way to craft it. And I would imagine the Last of Us TV show is going to be very similar. The story's already there. It's been created. How do you adapt it best for a television audience? And also, after just finishing the Call of Duty campaign over the last week, waiting for the next season of Warzone to drop, I mean, I don't remember exactly how many hours it took me to finish, but I would probably say maybe roughly 10 to 12 hours. Does that sound about right for maybe like a first-person shooter?
Yeah, 8 to 10. I mean, the thing with Call of Duty is very episodic, and you probably got literally when one ends, the next one begins, and you're in a different place, and you're probably a different character, and it's like it's like an episode of a show, pretty much. Every time.
I mean, exactly. So The Last of Us being on HBO, I got to imagine it's going to be at least 8 episodes, possibly 10. Like some of the earlier Game of Thrones stuff was there. So the episodic stuff is already built in. And then also, like I mentioned before, being a consulting producer on a video game show, I've listened to Craig Mazin's podcast before, and he very affectionately talks about playing video games and the game Last of Us. So everything's got it going here for this. But then, Chris, you always crawl into the back of my head and remind me that we've yet to see anything from Naughty Dog properly adapted to screen. So hopefully, we have the next game out on the horizon.
Yeah.
Once that's out there in the world, I believe the show is really going to start kicking its tires and really get into the production.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, if anything can get production, maybe we may be in pre-production for a couple of years on this. To be completely honest, I mean, the Last of Us 2 Part 2 is coming out this summer. Actually, this month, June 19th. We're like 2 weeks away now.
Yeah, like a week and a half.
Yeah. Which is crazy because this game had some major leaks a month or two ago.
Ooh, very, very hard to Google this for the podcast. I was skimming through lots of stuff really fast.
And I've never played the first game, but I know that the Naughty Dog company is currently not on good grounds with a lot of people. So we'll see, again, how they handle video game adaptations. This will be interesting to see if Last of Us hits before the Halo show does, that they've been working on Showtime for 3-4 years now.
That would be interesting to see them go head to head.
But at the same time, if the new Halo comes out this fall on Xbox, I could see they've actually probably done a lot of this and we just don't know it yet. Because, I assume if the Halo show, if anything, is going to rival the Mandalorian in terms of production, money spent, is probably going to be that kind of show.
Yeah, I could see there's always got to be a lot of money, I feel like, put into any sort of video game property, because I mean, a video game is a lot like an animated movie or TV show. You can go anywhere, design anything, program anything. So when you take that live action, there's a lot of money that has to follow.
Well,
right?
and all the aliens are not very human-like, so you've got to really craft those.
No one's going to be suiting up to play. What is that what they're called?
Well, there's elites and there's grunts and there's jackals and brutes.
I thought there was like an overarching term for all of the aliens.
The group is called the Covenant. But it's a blend of alien cultures. People who play Halo, So I mean, Last of Us is on the horizon. They've got a good team here. Hopefully, again, it holds through and gets to fruition. HBO,
do yourself a huge service, a huge favor. If you have a PlayStation, go on their marketplace, or if you have the ability to go into a store, order something online, get The Last of Us. You can get a remastered version, the first one, Part 1. Play it. It's great. It's an amazing story. My wife, who usually doesn't enjoy video games that much, enjoyed just watching me play it because the story is so narrative and so engaging and so much fun that it's gonna feel amazing to roll right off of that experience right into the next game that is nearly skipping a generation. Because The Last of Us Part 2, I believe it's already rated for the PlayStation 5. So you're going to have such a huge graphical improvement from the first two games. It'll be quite the experience.
Well, I think a lot of the games, if my understanding is from what I read this week, every PlayStation game after a certain date, if it's made for PlayStation 4, also has to work on the PlayStation 5. I don't think it's an upgrade. I think it's like a backwards compatibility thing to ensure that. So we'll see how that handles. But The Last of Us on the horizon. But I've been watching a lot of HBO Max this week, Mike. This has been my turn it on, find something good and put it on there. And one of my favorite shows I've been watching is Looney Tunes.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought it up, because I watched a couple too.
Yeah, and apparently Looney Tunes and Elmo's Not Too Late show are the most popular shows on this streaming service right now. Which is great.
I'm surprised it's not Friends. I wonder if maybe are they saying it's the most popular originals? Because I gotta imagine Friends is up there.
They said Looney Tunes in general. I saw several that were Looney Tunes, and then one that was actually like Elmo. So it could be original, but it could be the old Looney Tunes as well, because you can set those on. Those are 3 to 5 minutes. So a hit for a Looney Tunes show is like what you can get 5 of those in one Friends episode count. So the ratio may be higher on that. But I was interested. I didn't notice this. I watched a lot. But apparently Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam cannot have guns in the new episodes.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought this up, because I came across this discourse a little bit on my Twitter feed today, because I follow a lot of animators in the industry, and one of them who actually worked on the show was talking about this, saying he thinks it's a little ridiculous that some people are getting so indignant that their cartoon character can't be running around with a gun, because they think that's so integral to his character. character, and he made a point to say, as somebody who literally was animating these characters and writing these characters, saying that, like, you run out of gags so quickly with a character with a gun. There's only so many things that you can do, and they said it was very freeing to have the restriction because there's so many new things that you can do. There's this is one of the things of being a creative person. Being put in a box sometimes seems like a restriction, but sometimes it seems like, okay, well, now I need to get creative because I have these limitations. And they were also talking about, they were working on these episodes back in 2017, and they said the mass shooting in Vegas had just happened, and nobody out there wanted to touch any sort of guns at all because people were just mowed down like from a building in Vegas at a concert. Like, it was as much gun violence as happens in this country, you kind of forget that these things even happen. So if I can find that Twitter thread, I'll share it and put it in the show notes, because I think it puts a lot of it into perspective. And it's just like these are like cartoons. Like, if a character's entire identity is tied to a gun, that wasn't a very good character to begin with, So people need to be able to be separate from their props.
And I don't know if you noticed it, but I mean, I didn't notice it, until I saw the same thing you did. It was an article. I think it was more of an interview I saw it in, more than the Twitter feed, but it could have been the original. But like, I was like, I didn't even notice they didn't have guns. Like, I've not once noticed at all, because I was like, oh yeah, because the old ones are on there as well, and they do have the guns still. It's not like they're not doing the E.T. thing where they Photoshop out the guns. Because, the classic Duck Season, Wabbit Season episode, Daffy gets shot quite a bit in the face.
Yeah, and I mean, that episode's still there, and if you really like it, you don't want them to go back and just redo it, do the same stuff over again. So, yeah, I saw the Yosemite Sam one with the arm wrestling one, and I thought that was actually really funny. Like, and I'm actually overall just really surprised with Looney Tunes because, I kind of thought maybe that these cartoons would kind of be, out of time. This type of humor was really popular back then, and, would audience really resonate with it, current day? Because even myself growing up, I don't think I really gravitated towards the Looney Tunes that much, because the Looney Tunes were even old for me when I was a kid. I wanted to watch, like, the new cartoons, and, anime was starting to be really popular, so I wanted to watch this kind of more adult, mature stuff. But, even now, like, I'm really enjoying these Looney Tunes cartoons. So yeah, go give them a try, and you're not going to miss any sort of giant. The gun wasn't even realistic to begin with. It looked like a freaking trumpet at the end of a trigger. So it's like, it wasn't even realistic to begin with. So I don't mind losing it.
Oh no, and like I said, again, if you notice that much, you're obviously looking for a reason to complain, not it, because there's stuff in there I really enjoy. Again, just to go on, that they stuck to the classic versions of the characters rather than the modernized versions of, like, Bugs Bunny or Daffy. Like, even Bugs Bunny has yellow gloves. I don't know if you noticed the color choice on his gloves. I'm having a really good time with these. I know the voices don't match up with the originals, but we don't have the one guy doing all the voices anymore.
Yeah.
So
and of course the violence is still there. I mean, in the very first short, when you see Daffy and Porky go exploring through this temple, there's this whole extended gag where Porky's like getting lit on fire, getting squashed, and dropping through pits, and every time he returns with like a cast and he's in a wheelchair. It's actually a really funny gag. Like, at that point is what really sold me. Like, oh, this is really funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's nothing missing there. If anything, they're just making something new and fun for a new generation.
Yeah.
So go check out Looney Tunes on HBO Max.
Good. I'm glad you're on board. I'm glad my recommendation last week didn't fall on deaf ears.
Yep.
But that kind of art style and that animation style of the old Looney Tunes is not the only thing. I don't know if you're familiar with the game Cuphead that came out a couple of years ago. The hand-drawn 40s, 50s.
Cuphead's getting an animated show on Netflix.
Exactly, and I guarantee it's going to be the same style. But even Pokemon is jumping in on this Looney Tunes style art with their newest Poketoons, which even I think the title card is like a Merry Melodies card. Like, it's unabashedly the same thing. And it's like, the first one here is it's got a character, a Pokemon named Scraggy, who's eating beans that are falling out of a truck. And it's literally the same kind of style. I'm like, this is too on the nose, really. It feels just like an old Looney Tunes thing.
I watched the short, and watching the short right after watching these brand new Looney Tunes, I was like, maybe they could put a little bit more effort into this short, because especially in the very vibrant world of Pokemon, you only get 2 Pokemon in this whole short. You get this one that I've never heard of, and then you get one that kind of looks like a Pikachu sock, which I know is an actual Pokemon.
Yeah, the Mimikyu.
Like some sort of it's somebody that tries to look like another Pokemon. But I was just kind of scrubbing through it. I was like, there's no no other Pokemon in this whole short.
Well, I think this is a series that's coming out, and these are the first two, so there's going to be like one per Pokemon for a while. We'll see, but they do need a little more, and I don't think there's any dialogue in them. I think it's all voice or all music and sound, so it was interesting for that. But I also want to use this opportunity to bring up that Pokemon Go, which was integral part of my wedding, Mike, if you remember. Will soon allow remote raiding with friends. The big gym leaders, like the big Pokemon you have to team up to take down. I can now invite you to play with me remotely through the game shortly. So,
well, I guess that's one way. I'm sure they've seen a huge user base drop, or at least a lot less walking distances.
Well, let's go.
a lot less eggs hatched during quarantine. That's for sure.
Yeah, so it's definitely done that. So I think this is allowed them, or not allowed them, or maybe sped up some of their feature releases to allow this non-social world for a social game. So I thought that was interesting. But speaking of video games, yet again, Mike, because we're in all we got's video games right now. Star Wars, the new game from Star Wars, is looking to be announced on June 9th, as of right now. EA's Play was originally June 11th, but it was pushed back to the 18th, so this date may change. And it looks to be the rumored, we've talked about this before, Project Maverick, which is a space combat game for Star Wars. Like a little indie game. Not a huge game like the Jedi Fallen Order, but more of a smaller, space combat kind of game, which I think would be really cool, because, again, we've had the remakes of the Starfighter games and the Podracing games, so maybe that studio's like, hey, here's some assets we've been playing with, use them on your remasters.
Yeah, who knows? Like I said, it's all about 3D models. I'm sure it's very easy to find 3D models of any sort of Star Wars stuff and just hand it over to a programmer. Make me a fly-in game.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's like an affordable, like a $30 game, I'd probably try it. I wouldn't pay $60 for a short run flight game.
I would say it would be cool if it was like a VR flying game, but the last time I played a VR flying space game, it made me motion sick, and I had to lay down on the couch for like an hour. So maybe I'm not begging for an X-Wing game, Well,
they actually have that in Star Wars Battlefront for PlayStation. If you buy it, it comes with a X-Wing VR game, just one level, but you play the X-Wings in it, and it's really, really cool.
That's going to make me puke. Sorry,
it's not too bad because you're in space. You don't have any ground to worry about. And I'm real bad about motion sickness. So you can give it a try if you find that game cheap. It might be on the Days of Play sale. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I'll take a look.
So we'll check that out. Speaking of Star Wars, Mike, we love Star Wars. We've been talking about it forever. The Mandalorian Season 2. Jon Favreau was at ATX this weekend or whatever it is. ATP. There's some sort of convention going on, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It could be online only. I didn't look into it too much, but he confirmed that season 2 will be out this October, 1 year later from the first one. So no delay on that release. Probably all post production. They got that season 1 done pretty secretly. So I assume they were working on season 2 immediately after season 1 was done.
Yeah, I think they got really lucky just with timing. It seems like they got a lot of their on-set stuff done before the virus really kind of took over. My wife works in the industry, so she's been following a lot of the news with productions opening back up in very limited capacities. She's chatted with some people that have told her that they think maybe some things will start filming again in September. Obviously, there's been big headlines like the Batman and Avatar have kind of kicked production back up, but they have to go into like these mandatory quarantines for a couple weeks, and like the whole like units kind of just need to not interact with anybody outside of them. So luckily, it seems like the Mandalorian dodged all of that, and depending on season 3 and maybe the way the world hopefully starts improving soon, maybe they'll be lucky enough to even dodge it for season 3. But man, just go watch the Mandalorian doc and see how quickly they can do shit on the fly in that volume screen. Man, it just seems like get about like 5 healthy people and like 1 actor, and you can film a whole episode. It seems like so. I'm glad. All I can say is I'm glad that I have something to look forward to in October.
Yeah, that wasn't affected by that. Honestly, they're probably doing a lot of writing and pre-production for season 3, but a lot of that, it's video game technology powering a whole show, which was cool to see. But it also looked like the other than all the actors they needed on set, sometimes the crew was pretty minimal. It didn't seem like there was a lot of people going on here. Like you don't have like 8 people running the camera. You have 1 person running the camera, and everybody else controlling the computer behind it, or the baby, or the baby the child actors with the robot.
The child, yes. If you want to know more about that, I watched the physical. What's that episode called? The one after technology. Just props? Did they call it just props?
It wasn't props. No, but I'll think about it here in a second. But yeah, it was about the actual stuff they had on set.
Yeah, so it was cool. That's when they really dive into the puppetry, and it was funny. They'd be like, "Oh, my name's Dave, and I work the eyes on Baby. So I'm just here with this giant remote control that just controls the eyes. Like, oh, I'm Philip. I work the ears and the feet." It was really funny how many people it takes to move this little baby around.
Well, I think it was called Physical. I think is what it might have been called.
Oh yeah, maybe.
But they also talked about how Werner Herzog was like directing the baby or like talking to the thing like it was a person rather than the people controlling it. So that was pretty fun. I really enjoyed that. But Mandalorian season 2, again, we've got the documentary. I think there's like maybe 2 episodes left or something like that. Been a good time. Really, really enjoying that. Another show, Star Wars related, that's going to kick off probably when Mandalorian documentary wraps up is the Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge show, which gives me Hidden Temple, Legend of the Hidden Temple vibes.
What is this? What are you talking about right now?
Have you not heard about this at all?
No, okay. I don't know what you're talking about.
So they announced, I think it was back on Star Wars Day, that there's a show coming to Disney Plus. It's a kids who compete like challenges, three trials to become the Jedi. Or like a Jedi through these, and it's like a game show kind of thing.
Oh god! Well, I'm glad it's directed towards children because I can't imagine. I mean, I can imagine adults doing this, but I don't think this would hold my attention very long.
Oh no, it's all for kids, and there's a bunch of game shows on there right now. A bunch of new ones. There's one about I forget. I'm pretty sure it's the lady from Community, and then there's a robot who is actually. Do you watch Flight of the Conchords? Mm-hmm. Their manager, who's also in Jumanji.
Oh, yeah.
He was in. Did you watch Guns Akimbo? Right?
No, I haven't caught it yet.
Okay, he's in that too. But like that's weird. So I'm expecting a bunch of weird stuff. But Ahmed Best, who is known for playing Jar Jar Binks in the prequel trilogy, plays Kelleran Beck, a Jedi Master who guides these players. So he's coming back into the Star Wars universe to be a different character to help guide.
So I guess the only highlight is that they're going full Star Wars and putting a whole narrative around the show, just like how they put a whole narrative around the Star Wars park in Disneyland. So I guess that's kind of cool. Oh man, speaking of competition shows, we briefly watched Ultimate Tag on Hulu. I don't know what network carries it, but it was up on Hulu, and it's an entire competition show, just begging for people to watch it that don't have live sports to watch right now, of just grown adults running around like a gladiator style setup, running away from the quote unquote tag gladiators, trying not to get tagged. And it sounds like it could be fun, and it is fun, but the entire 42 minutes that's stretched into an hour really only has me about 4 true minutes of entertainment where you actually see them running around trying not to get tagged. So I guess if you are really craving something that's similar to Gladiators, go check out Ultimate Tag. But I don't think competition shows that don't involve cooking food are up my alley.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's one that I think you're completely wrong. There's one that is, Mike, and it's on Curse Flicks. It's called MXC, Most Extreme Challenge.
Oh, that's more the just comedy goldmine. I love MXC. It's great.
Yeah, so it's all on there in case you get really bored. You can sign into Curse Flicks and watch it. We turn that on when we don't want to watch anything.
With the off-brand humor of Mr. Guy Ledouche.
Yeah, Guy Ledouche. But I mean, it's so funny because that was a real game show called Someone's Castle or whatever. That they actually did air in America afterwards too. So it's
it's just I just love the ingenuity of it, of just like, we need to make a TV show. Let's just get the rights to some random Japanese show that no one's ever seen before and hire some people to dub over it.
You know what that's called? You know what else that show that's Power Rangers.
Yeah,
exactly what Power Rangers
sounds like Power Rangers.
So, but yeah, Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge on June 10th. Falcon and the Winter Soldier rumored it's supposed to be filming again in July. I believe it's in Prague. So Europe has a little different rules on filming right now than America does. So that would be cool. But season 2 could have a different name than Falcon and Winter Soldier season 2, which brings me to an interesting thought, Mike. All these Marvel shows should have a different season 2 title.
I was gonna say that's the really big news right there, because that's just basically saying You got two names in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so if it's truly a season 2 and it has a different name, is it even really a season 2 at all?
Yeah, well, I think it could be like how Captain America is all the Marvel movies have subtitles, right? There's no numbers in their title. I think it's gonna be like that. So season 2 of this will be Winter Soldier and the Falcon, of course, because that's the most logical step. No,
or it could be Falcon and Crossbones.
Yeah.
Bringing Crossbones back into the fold. He becomes a good guy again. I don't know.
But that brings me to my next topic, WandaVision. If they solve this problem for Wanda and Vision in this, what would season 2 look like? Well, I mean, it could be an entirely different show title, right? It's still Wanda and Vision, but they don't need to call it WandaVision season 2. It'd be whatever they want to call themselves. I don't have a good name at the top of my point here, but I think that would make sense. I don't need to see Loki and the Loki season 2. What if Loki and Loki through time, or Loki through the universe, or something. The seasons kind of give it a different title based on what's going on. Would be kind of interesting, I think. I mean, any thoughts on those?
Yeah, I mean, it just it sounds. I like the idea that maybe that they'll be like Kevin Feige's always said from the very beginning. These are going to feel more like TV shows than anything more like movies than anything else. So it makes sense to treat it that way. And also, luckily, Disney Plus has this playlist feature which they've been creating. So if people get too confused, just go check out the Falcon Winter Soldier playlist. That I'm sure will organize it all thoughtfully, and you won't have to worry about what was named what.
Yeah, but I think also at the same time, you have a chapter. Every Marvel movie has a chapter, right? We call it Endgame. We know it's Avengers Endgame. We don't call it Avengers 4. So I think there's opportunity here to everything's a chapter. Everything has its own unique name. Only Iron Man had sequentials, and that's because we did that before we even knew what the hell we were doing.
Oh man, Falcon and the Winter Soldier season 2 should be called Falcon and the Winter Soldier Prison Break, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier The Raft.
Electric Boogaloo.
I want to go back to the Raft so bad. I want some sort of giant, super technology, inescapable prison that a hero has to escape. I love that idea.
Well, I think that would be a great Avengers movie. Breakout, just like Earth Mightiest Heroes did.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be awesome. But you got to introduce all these other prisons before you do that. But there's opportunity here. But back to WandaVision. Actor Evan Peters has been cast in a mystery role. Do you remember Evan Peters in any Marvel movie recently?
He was in X-Men.
Yes, he was the best part about X-Men Apocalypse.
Almost like the last couple X-Men movies.
Well, he wasn't in Dark Phoenix. They took him out the first action scene.
He's technically in it though. He has a little bit of a speed scene in the spaceship at the beginning, but then he's quickly taken care of when they're on that New Jersey neighborhood. I don't even remember.
When everybody died, everyone was. But we always said that in Apocalypse there's 2 good scenes that you can just watch on YouTube and get the gist of the movie. One is him as Quicksilver running around. The X Mansion is just blowing up kind of thing, pulling people out. And the other one's Wolverine. But he played Quicksilver in X-Men. So interesting, we're getting Quicksilver in a WandaVision show here. Oh, this is not a regular Quicksilver who was in Age of Ultron briefly, and then died. But you didn't see that coming. But was this is he going to be playing a different character? Because obviously you don't put silver hair on him. He doesn't look the same. Or is this our first instance of a multiverse or potential futures, happenstances of mutants?
Yeah, I mean, this is a unique case where it feels very binary. It's got to be one or the other, right? He's either an original character and he's a good actor, so let's just hire a good actor to be on our show, or maybe, Multiverse of Madness, which is coming up in Doctor Strange. That could be interesting. I feel like you got to do a lot of heavy lifting, possibly, if he's going to have a real role in it. If it's just a cameo, he could kind of just be in the background, or maybe there's some sort of weird, groovy kaleidoscope special effect where you see all of these different realities, and then briefly you see Evan Peterson as Quicksilver, and then, that's the cameo that everybody gets. But if he's going to actually be Quicksilver from another dimension, I feel like there's got to be a lot of legwork done, because you just can't assume everyone's going to know that. Somebody's going to have to sit down at a desk and write the words that explain this to people that just have not been catching up with X-Men.
Well, but also I don't think so. I think that's the thing about Marvel. They're unapologetic about it. If you don't watch it, they're good about explaining it in the moment, but they don't have to build the whole backstory, because again, I think Quicksilver is cool, and I think they could do it, but I think also at the same time, you don't say Evan Peters is in a mystery role. You just say, you wouldn't know about it if he was a cameo. I think it's going to be bigger.
at the same time, you're opening up a can of worms of a multiverse in general, because is this a multiverse where just a totally different person becomes Quicksilver? Because technically, don't they canonically have the same names? Like, they're the same people, but they're played by different actors. So it's not really an alternate version of Aaron Taylor Johnson. Isn't that the guy who played it? It's not an alternate version because they don't look the same. They're not the same human being. They kind of get into this complexities. If you watch like The Flash, it gets really confusing. It's just like, okay, well, this is an alternate world, but you're the Flash on this alternate world, but in this world, it just gets very confusing. So hopefully somebody can keep track of all that stuff.
I really don't think it's that hard. Like, it's really like Evan Peters was Quicksilver in the 70s, right? If you came from this world where nobody else, even in the X-Men universe, Iron Man and Captain America, they didn't live. It's just a different world and everything happened differently. You'd be like, okay, this guy came from, like, he's in the 70s or 80s, right? Like, the aging in the X-Men universe and continuity is fucking awful. But if you're like, okay, this guy can run really fast and has these similar powers, like, you'd be like, okay, is she watching him do something different? Or is she interacting? Oh, if this is a different world where mutants existed or something, like, people with powers are very common, like yourself, you could be very happy here, like if Mephisto's dealing with this. I think there's an opportunity to say, it's not necessarily like what the Hulk did with what's-her-face, Tilda Swinton's character, with the time gem, where you take this gem out and we're diverging with the same people. I think it's like, this is a multiverse of a different person, of a different world with different everything. And you can kind of hop around a little bit without having to say this is it, because there's no consequences for them over there in the X-Men universe. You know why? Because it's done for.
It's done.
Well, until New Mutants is done, but it's done for at this point. So I think there's an opportunity here for them to play with it if they want to. But again, I think if they say Evan Peters is in a mystery role, he's not Quicksilver.
Yeah, so I mean, I just looked up the two Quicksilvers just to see canonically what their names were in the film. So in Age of Ultron, he was Pietro Maximoff, which is connected to the comic books, and in X-Men Apocalypse, he was Peter. So Peter could technically just be a short term. I don't remember all the little story details of Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, but technically they're both Maximoffs. So it's just like, well, why in two different realities do you look totally different? So
yeah, but one has Magneto as a dad, and one got their powers from the Cube in the 2000s.
Yeah, but I'm just glad I'm not the writer that has to get paid to figure all this stuff out.
Oh, I don't think we'll figure out, like, okay, well, here's a different world, and this guy's in here now. He can run fast.
Chris, I'm already confused.
Yeah, I know you are. It's fine. What's even more confusing is there are companies called the Wanda Group. They're a Hong Kong-based company based on, like, plastics and trinkets, and they're trying to dispute the WandaVision trademark with Disney. What? How do you even do that? Like, we're the Wanda Group, and we don't like you using WandaVision as a TV show. Like, how does that even work? And you're fighting Disney, who has money.
Yeah. I don't know. And also, plus, it's like Hong Kong, so you're already in like a different part of the world. So it's just kind of like, well, do we even really need to really listen to you at all?
But here's the thing. They have, because they ship to you, they have U.S. holdings. Like, this does affect the U.S. as well, trademark. Like, it's not just the trademark in Hong Kong, because I don't think trademark laws in every country is different. But, like, because they do deal work in America, they have a trademark here, and that will affect that if it wins. But I think they'll settle it. Like, this is just really interesting, like, thing. Like, why would you go up against Disney for the weirdest name in the world that nobody even liked to begin with?
Yeah, even if it was the other way, even if like Disney was the one suing them, I would think it's bullshit either way. Because I was telling you off the mic earlier that I ate a frozen pizza for lunch today, and on the frozen pizza it had chicken on it, and up in the corner on the box it said made with natural chicken, and of course there's an asterisk next to the word natural. So you're like, wait a minute, I got to figure out what this asterisk around the word natural is. And you go down to the other corner of the box, and it says the word natural is like a registered trademark. It's like, no, you can't register the word natural chicken as a trademark. That's bullshit. This is food that I eat. I don't want to have registered trademarks on simple words. So like Wanda's is just a name, and WandaVision, I'm looking at it right now in the text, is literally smashed together into one word. There's not even a space in the middle of it. It's all dumb. It's all stupid. I hope they all waste their money fighting.
Yeah, if it was identical and it would cause confusion, I get it. But like, I'm not gonna ever confuse WandaVision with a group that makes little trinkets, like party favors I've never heard of before. So
it's all dumb.
They just want the publicity.
Hey, we gave it to him.
We did.
We just talked about him for like, what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, possibly. DC Comics is doing something interesting that's going to cause a big stir and some publicity. They've ended their deal with the only North American comic distributor, Diamond something distribution, which you may not know, but like they're literally the only company that gives comic books to stores and like collectibles and like other than Funkos, like if you get something in the comic book store, Diamond has to give them to the store. Which was a monopoly and a motherfucker all around, to put it nicely. But apparently during the pandemic, COVID has stopped distribution and payment to the publishers, which is a big problem if you're the only company delivering. So all distribution stopped, and now you can't pay the people who you're taking the product from to deliver. What are you gonna do as a comic creator or a comic book store? What do you do in that situation?
I mean, I just hope overall, no matter how the dust settles, what happens, that comic book stores are still safe and happy and can still thrive, because the ones that are still existing out there, I'm sure that it's tight for them every month, especially now during this pandemic, because I've heard a lot of the strategies for comic book stores is to pivot. If you're not selling as many comic books, maybe clear up some space in the back of the comic book store so people can come in and play D&D or play these other like tabletop games and, open up that space to bring more people in. So, I mean, if Diamond had this big stranglehold over them, hopefully this possibly improves things. But it sounds to me, from somebody that doesn't know a whole lot about comic book distribution, this sounds like almost like a very old business model.
Yes.
It almost kind of sounds like when somebody tells you like, oh, I don't work for Coca-Cola, but I work at a Coca-Cola bottling plant. And it's just like, really? They don't control the whole flow from beginning to end? They pay a totally different company to bottle their syrup and soda? It just sounds very old style distribution. At one point in time, DC Comics was just like, hey, we're really good at writing and drawing comics, but we have no clue how to ship it to stores. But now there's like so many different tools and technologies that can just ship stuff. I'm just surprised that Diamond's even needed.
Well, Diamond was, I mean, it's only because they were the only company. No one would step up to deliver these, and I'm sure there was some sort of deals behind the table to reduce the cost of distribution and logistics, right? And because of that, you literally only have one middleman, and when your middleman fails you, everyone has to pivot and find a new. So DC has found a new company that used to deliver smaller stuff. IWD or IDW is going with another a different way to handle stuff. I mean, next, I assume Marvel is big enough to create their own if they even wanted to with some of the Disney money. So I think Diamond is going to have less of that hold and less of the control, because I used to work at a comic book store doing videos, right, for 3 years. Diamond would always mess stuff up and then never take ownership. They would ship entire boxes of the wrong material to a store and expect them to pay for it. Like, they were a horrible company all around for logistics.
Yeah. It seems like they were possibly, you might have a closer relationship with Diamond if you're somebody that's like a weekly reader that has like a poll at your comic book store. But I mean,
it was never good. It was never a good bit of news if you heard the word Diamond. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, but I mean, like, from the communities that I follow for comic books, if I'm on Reddit and I see people posting pictures of their collections on their shelves, they always have like these big volumes and trades that I'm sure that they just probably bought on Amazon, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But like, I have a feeling like Diamond's not that integral in that part, because you don't necessarily need Diamond to ship a pallet of trades to an Amazon warehouse. Anybody can do that. So.
Right, but Amazon's taking a bigger cut than Diamond is if you're the publisher. So that, I think that was the thing. But I think this is gonna be great. We're gonna see new ways comic books and action figures and stuff get to comic book stores, and probably more variety and more pricing options all around. Or everyone's gonna go digital. One of the two. I don't know which one it is yet. But DC is the first one to make the blow, which is surprising because they're years behind Marvel when it comes to everything comic book printed. So that's really interesting. But speaking of DC characters, Mike, Kate Kane, Batwoman, who was played by Ruby Rose, who left, whether that's good or bad, we don't know, will not be recast. They will be replacing Batwoman with a different character all around. It will still be Batwoman, but not the Kate Kane version. played by
Yeah, I find that pretty surprising because just from the reports that we've been talking about, it seems like this was a pretty hard exit, pretty contentious maybe deal. So it seems like Ruby Rose does not want to step back on set. So I always try to think about the transitional moments. I'm sure they can write a new character that's not Katie Kane that can put on the suit and just go out into Gotham and kick butt. I don't think that's the issue there, but I think it's like, how do you make that transition at the beginning of the next season? Is somebody just going to go on screen and go, oh my God, Kate Kane died. She's missing. We're never going to see her again. What are we going to do? Hey, you look like you're the same size. Will you put this suit on and just keep this story going?
Well, so I was reading an article today about the interview with the showrunner, and who went to is it Berlanti who's in charge of this one, or was it Guggenheim?
Yeah, it's Berlanti.
Okay, so they went. It was actually his idea to do it. They'd actually written like 2 or 3 scripts for the new season with Ruby Rose or Kate Kane in mind, but he was like, no, let's replace it and start over. So they've actually had to scrap or retool a few scripts for this, which is interesting. But at the same time, this is a universe where worlds collide, aliens abduct people. Who knows what happens with this character?
Yeah.
Era does it, but
yeah, it's a unique opportunity to pivot the style of character that it is too. Because from the reports that I read, it seems like they're looking for a character that's going to be just a totally different personality. They're just not trying to replace Kate Kane with like Jane Smith that has the exact same personality. It seems like they're going to go in a different direction. So, who knows? I mean, definitely a lot more people are talking about Batwoman than they were before.
Oh, geez, yeah. I'd be more interested to see season 2 than season 1 at this point.
Like you said, you told me that at the very end of the first season, we got a surprise look at Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
Obviously it's not really Bruce Wayne, but it is indeed his face. Seems like that would have made a lot of news, and I didn't hear about it until you told me. But everyone's been talking about Ruby Rose leaving Batwoman, so who knows? Like we said earlier with Wander Group, maybe all press is a good press.
Yeah, right. Well, we're also scraping the bottom of the barrel for a lot of these things as well. But Batwoman, season 2, new character, new thing. But speaking of bottom of the barrel, Mike, our last bit of news here is there was a spin-off film focused on Bane that was pitched after the Joker success.
Of course. This feels very much like X-Men Origins. Like they always say like X-Men, the new class, was originally pitched as like Magneto Origins. Yeah. So it seems like they were going to do Wolverine, they were going to do Magneto. Who else could they pull off? So just imagine all of the other pitches that they did over at Fox more origin X-Men films.
That Gambit origin movie, we need that.
Yes, exactly. This seems very much in the same vein of just like, man, we hit gold with the Joker, but it's like, you got to realize why you hit gold with the Joker. It was because you told a very resonating story with a very iconic character. Like, I don't think you're going to get the same out of Bane,
You told Taxi Driver and made it into a comic book movie. With Bane, what do? What story is this? A very large guy in the luchador outfit who gets this stuff called venom pumped into his body. What do you do with that? Like, I don't know. Is this Venom? Did we just describe Venom, the movie?
I'm guessing probably the story that would be told here would be like a gritty addiction story of how addiction really just takes you over the edge. But who knows what's happening over at Warner Brothers nowadays? We're getting the Snyder Cut. They're trying to reboot stuff like
Snyder
that.
Cut's not Warner. Snyder Cut's not this studio, thankfully. That's just HBO Max. So it's
all owned
yeah,
by
but it's all different people you're talking to. You're not going to the top and be like, yeah, I want the Snyder Cut. I think what I would love to see out of this is a Riddler dark and gritty origin story. Mike, tell me a Riddler story out of this, where he's a failed comedian who can't tell jokes until the jokes. Wait, that's the Joker.
Yeah, that's the Joker.
Anyway, well, it's always funny because right now, did you ever Batman Forever? Right, the third Batman movie.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Carrey is the Riddler. Tommy Lee Jones is Two-Face. They're both playing their versions of the Joker, but labeled as different characters. Just go back and watch that. You will see Tommy Lee Jones. Two-Face is never laughing. Why is he laughing so much in this movie? Like, he's playing, his Joker, but as Two-Face, and Jim Carrey's playing the Riddler's Joker. It's crazy. I like that movie because I saw it at the drive-in when I was younger.
Also, we were children. That's why we
Yes,
liked the movie.
exactly.
Because we went out and we got the action figures right after that. But, oh, man, I'm so glad you brought up Tommy Lee Jones. Because before we leave this topic, I made a huge stink about this on the podcast like months ago, where my wife and I sat down and watched Dante's Peak. And I told everybody, you got to go out there and watch Dante's Peak. And next up on the lineup was Volcano, the two competing volcano movies of the 90s. And we finally got around to watching Tommy Lee Jones' Volcano, which is set in 90s Los Angeles. And, man, it didn't hold up as much as I thought it was going to be. So if you're looking for a premium 90s volcano experience, I think you're going to have a better time with Dante's Peak than Volcano.
What about the core?
We actually watched the core too. We've been going through just kind of like junk food movies recently to kind of pick up our spirits, and the core is actually kind of fun, even though it's totally scientifically inaccurate. It could never happen. It hits all of the right disaster movie beats just at the right moments, just at the right the stupidity. We talked about this last week because I totally forgot Stanley Tucci was in Captain America: First Avenger, because Stanley Tucci was in that movie. But yeah, Tommy Lee Jones, Volcano, Two-Face. What can't he do? Men in Black. He's all over the place. He's always looked old, too.
Yeah.
Like, man, this is 90s Tommy Lee Jones, and he looks like 2020 Tommy Lee Jones.
And
What's he doing?
he always looks like he's disappointed in you as well. Like
Tommy Lee Jones was also in Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
God,
I was gonna wait for this.
It's all coming together, man. Right at the end of the podcast.
Oh man, yeah. Fugitive. I downloaded The Fugitive for someone the other day. He was in that one. But anyway, Tommy Lee Jones is Bane. Old man Bane. That's why we do it.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's where you take it. It's not the origin of Bane. It's Bane as he's been forever.
Yeah.
And he looks into a wine glass, and we see him look back at his life over the years. Oh, man.
No. Don't do that. Do it Logan style. But Bane is Tommy Lee Jones.
One last ride.
Yeah.
He takes that last hit of venom that he's been hiding underneath like the floorboards in his like dusty old house.
And his
in the
heart
desert.
stops when it's done because his body just couldn't take it no more.
We are pitching it right now. And we set this one in the future, much like Logan. So you did Joker in the past, you do Bane in the future, and then you put that new Batman movie somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
That's
you pick which Batman. It's going to be a choose your own Batman adventure for this movie.
Just give the middle finger to everybody and make it the George Clooney Batman universe. And he's got like an old photo album,
Bane was in the George Clooney movie, Batman and Robin.
Yeah, that's true. And he goes to like he's got to go buy something at the store, so he's got to dust off his Batman credit card.
Oh yeah.
And it's like decline, and he's like, "No, I'm poor too. I'm poor and an addict. I'm dying."
Oh, it's great. We can bring back Arnold as Mr. Freeze, an old Mr. Freeze.
Man, this
Even
is why
older.
this is why you stay tuned to the end of the podcast every week, because you get gold like this.
Because our will to do this just drops at the end. And the last item is always the worst one. But man, this is fun. I'm really enjoying this now. So, all right, we'll leave it here. We'll sit on this. We'll write it down before someone else steals our idea, and put it. We'll trademark it with the Wanda Group and see how this goes. Mike, that's the show, though. We're going to end it here. We're going to go do our things, going to edit this up, put it online, but if people know what you're doing, where can they find you at, buddy?
Oh, that's so easy to do. Find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram and Twitter, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan, or Instagram, Valdan87. I'm probably going to put these floors up sometime whenever I get energy to do it. You guys can see that. Head over to Comic UI. People know more about what we're doing, where they can listen to our show every week. Where can they find us at?
Oh, so easy to do. All you have to do is visit superheroslate.com. That is the best place to find all the avenues we host our show and to get our awesome show notes. If you want to catch up on all the things that we just talked about, you need our show notes, and you hit that at superheroslate.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts like this. And you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and get merch/swag at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. We love it when you guys reach out. Tell us what you're watching, what you're listening to, what you're thinking of. There's a new Run to Jewels album that just came out. They were very heavy on repeat during the Black Panther movie that came out a few years ago. So I've been meaning to check that out. So
pretty good.
If you guys have any music recommendations, I think that's always a great way to lift your spirits. experience in these trying times. I know myself, since I don't have a commute, I'm listening to a lot less audio, and like music used to literally make me feel good. If you listen to just a really good song, it totally changes your mood around. So I'm always down for music recommendations. So like we said, we love hearing from you. And if you want to be a super fan of this show, it's so easy to do. All you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we will be here every week, Chris.
And that includes next week, and we'll see you then.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
It's a massacre. The bloodiest podcast we ever did.